Kristyn Burtt, and thanks for watching the Vintage Vehicle Show. Today I'm on the Pier in Santa Monica, California at the Los Angeles Shelby American Automobile Club show. You guys know the routine. Lots of cars, great music, and some pretty interesting people. So let's get started. Standing next to me right now is Hank Williams, and I have to tell you that his vehicle has so many accolades, we're going to have to brag about them. It's a 1964-65 289 Cobra convertible. I got that right.
Right.
All right, we'll start out that you are the only original owner of this vehicle.
I'm the original owner and the only person that ever driven this car.
No one else has even borrowed it to get a gallon of milk?
No one ever.
So if I asked to borrow the keys, you'd say no?
I don't think I would. I think the car would be very pleased.
Excellent. Maybe I'll get to drive it. Now, in terms of this color, it's only one of 3 with this original color, too?
Yeah, they sent only 3 colors of this car over here. And I think it was from actually being a mistake. The car actually was ordered to be Princess Blue with red upholstery. It had never been blue. It had always been this color. And we were under the impression that probably the painter were painting a silver car and a blue car and ran out of paint, and they mixed the paint together and finished the last 3 cars this color.
Were you upset when you got your vehicle?
No, very pleased, very much pleased.
Because it makes it really unique and limited edition.
At that particular time, we didn't pay any attention to it until we put it between a royal blue Cobra and a real silver Cobra, and then we realized it was different.
It was a hybrid.
Yes, to that extent.
Now you also raced this vehicle, so it's one of the winningest in the world? Or
yeah, well, it's actually one of the winningest.
Okay.
The other Cobra, 289, Don Roberts, and he had the SCCA National winningest Cobra, racing Cobra. And then we had Dick Smith, who had a 427, who had the winningest 427 racing Cobra. This Cobra is mine, is Hank Williams' Cobra, for which is a Cobra that had winnings from all of the forms of racing, rallies, slaloms, club racing, SCCA racing, and any other type racing we could find on weekends.
That's amazing. Now, do you still race this vehicle?
No. The last race for this car was 1975.
So it was a while ago.
Quite a while. Then we restored it. We took the roll bar out of it. We put the quick jack stands off and put bumpers back, the windshield, and put the little grease gun and put everything back on it, and took the roll bar out because it's going to be a show car.
Do you miss racing?
I do, very much so, very much so.
What was your favorite thing about racing?
Just the idea of racing, doing something that, first of all, was a chosen profession. And for some reason, it seemed as though that I had a knack for being halfway decent, I guess.
You have a good lead foot.
Yeah, I would say pretty good. Don't forget now, there were one more African-American. His name was Bob West. We were the 2 at that particular time. There were a few more around, but we were I wouldn't say the top echelon, but we were the one that had a few little dollars behind, and we went that route.
That's amazing. And this was also in 1965. This was the last year for the Cobra, is that correct?
No, 1967 was the last year for the Cobras, as far as I know.
And it was limited edition. They didn't do thousands of these per year,
no,
did they?
They made 1,011.
Okay.
1,011 Cobras were made.
Well, Hank, thank you so much for sharing the history of your vehicle. And I love that you have a lead foot. That's good.
Thank you very much.
I drive fast myself. All right in front of us, 1968 AC Cobra. That's a Cobra 427. Shintake is the owner. You have to tell us all about this vehicle.
Okay, this car is the last AC chassis built before the factory closed back in the late 60s. Brian Anglis, who went on to form AC cars, Mark IVs later on, built this car in 1980 from the last chassis. It's a very unique car because there was only 5 of these chassis built for Paramount Films.
And tell us the movie that it was used in.
It was called the Daring Young Men and the Jaunty Jalopies.
Have you seen the film?
Actually, I haven't seen it, but...
You need to put it on your Netflix.
Yes, I'm sure you can find it on Netflix. But anyway, this is a unique car because it's the last of the series. It was built by the same exact standards, the bucks that were built for the original Cobras. So if you were to have an original Cobra and you totaled it, you would have a new body built, and this is exactly the same thing.
So you just took the chassis and built a body over this?
Well, Brian Anglis did.
Correct, and you are the second owner of this vehicle?
I'm the second owner of the vehicle.
And how long have you had the vehicle?
5 years.
And what have you done to the vehicle? Have you added a lot or just done some cosmetic work to it?
Yes, I've done some cosmetic work to it. It's been, it was never tuned up because it only had 2,800 miles originally, and now I put like 400 miles on it since.
So it only has 3,200 miles.
Yes.
That's nothing.
It is nothing.
That is your weekend warrior car then, isn't it?
Definitely. Yeah, but it already attracts too much attention because it's loud and of course the color is the way it is. So
Yeah, so you're flashy out there on the street.
very flashy.
You look like a flashy kind of guy, Shin.
Not really, though. But it's not me, it's the car.
And do you show your Cobra quite a bit, or you only take it out from time to time?
I only show it a little bit, but fun in this is driving more than showing.
All right, Shin, thank you so much for sharing your story, and try and hide with this car. You can't, can you?
I sure can. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, I hope I get this name right. I know his name is Manny. Is it Samaniego?
That's correct. That's like a very good pronunciation.
Oh, I'm so impressed. All right. I was practicing in my head the whole time. Now, we are standing next to, and this isn't yours actually, it's your friend's, isn't it?
It's my buddy's car. He called me a couple days ago because he couldn't make the show and said, hey, take my car down there, because he knew mine was down, actually. So I drove his car in this morning.
All right, so it's a 1966 Mustang.
Correct.
And it's a replica Shelby.
That is correct. It's a replica of a Shelby.
Okay, so what have they done to this vehicle to make it a replica Shelby?
Well, there's a long story that goes to this vehicle, and it was actually found right after the riots here in LA. And my buddy found it, and he called me on the phone. He's on the way back from my office, and he goes, check out this car. So I'm driving home, and I'm going through basically downtown LA, very rough neighborhood. I see the car. It looks like a Shelby. At the time, it was white with blue stripes. Get out of the car, and I'm not thinking. I just go up and I pull the hood up to see if it has a Shelby number on it. And the biggest, meanest guy you've ever seen comes flying out of the apartment. Goes, hey, what are you doing? You know? And I'm like, oh, I'm just looking. You know, is it for sale? And he goes, maybe. And to make a long story short, my buddy ended up buying the car, getting title for it, and this is what turned out afterwards. So.
Well, it's beautiful. And this was done by Coucher Design Works, is that correct?
Coucher Design Works, Keith Coucher, he designed the car, and it was actually the first car he put together from one of his designs.
How did you get interested in Shelbys?
Well, in high school, you know, like all bad boys in high school, I used to street race. I had a Falcon, and there was a kid who had a Shelby. You know, he came from the rich part of town. His dad bought him a Shelby, and that's when I fell in love with it, and I had to have one, you know. So as I grew up and I got the money, I bought one.
What year did you buy your first Shelby?
The first one was 1984, actually, and I still have the car, and people are going to throw up when they hear this. I paid $8,000 for it.
Wow.
So.
Well, thank you for sharing all the information.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm glad I got your name right.
Yes, you did.
All right, Ross Harmon. I was walking past thinking, have I seen this vehicle before? But it's different than the replica Shelby, isn't it?
Well, this is a 1966 Hertz rental car.
Okay. So Hertz actually allowed this vehicle to be rented.
Yes, Shelby went to them and the idea that they could maybe sell some more cars, and Hertz thought, yeah, and this was go-go 60s. Macho Avis was renting Corvettes. So, hey, this was, you know.
Why not?
it seemed like an equal playing field.
So they didn't do many of them for Hertz. I think, what, 1,000?
1,000 of them, and they were you had a bit of a checkered history as far as being taken to racetracks and maybe not coming back with the same engine they left with. But, you know, they were in a rental car company. They weren't car enthusiasts. They were just renting cars, so.
Now, how long have you had this vehicle?
Well, I've had it for 10 years, and I'm blessed in the fact that it found me, so I'm blameless.
Okay, so how did it find you?
Well, a friend at work, and he wanted to sell it and came to me and said, would you make it easy for me, and I'll make it easy for you, and he did.
And now you've lived happily ever after.
Well, 10 years later, and yeah, I'm super happy with it.
You look it. Now, have you had done some work to the vehicle?
Fortunately, I mean, just a little cosmetic, and mostly some, you know, mechanical things, just keep it on the road, brakes and whatnot. But I like to drive it, and if you take it on the road a little bit, it's fun.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. I'm a lead foot. Do you think I would like it?
Definitely. You leave the crowd in the dust sooner than you ever thought.
And I would still pass for that whole entire Hertz thing, because I heard there were 2 stipulations. You had to be 25. I just turned 25 like last week.
A responsible adult.
Oh, absolutely. And you had to hurry because they were, limited time only, or
well,
first
the
come,
good thing
first
is
serve.
they're doing it again now. So they have 2007 Hertz cars just like this, except new specs, and you can go down and rent those too.
Have you rented one yet?
I've tried, but they only rent them to outer towners with airline tickets.
Aw.
I thought about driving this up on their front lawn and saying, come on, guys.
I know. I think you should call Hertz and be like, you should give me a free vehicle for the weekend.
Actually, I don't have to because you just did for me.
That's right. And maybe this will happen. When you get your free car, you know who to call.
Stranger things have happened.
Thank you so much.
My
nice
pleasure.
talking with you.
Thank you very much.
All right, hopefully this interview with Steve Beck is going to go well because he's been doing crazy things that I've had to sort of stand in front of him. You going to behave?
Maybe.
Maybe, that's what I thought. All right, your 1965 Shelby, and the first thing I said to him, is this one of the original Shelbys? And your answer?
Yes, it is. It's the 258th one built.
Pretty sweet there. So about halfway through production, because we figured there's 500 or so.
Right in the middle, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I was thinking maybe he was one of the original owners because you've had it since 1974, but the answer is no.
It had 7 owners. It was a demo for early in its life, and then it was trucked up to San Francisco and sold as a demonstrator or a used car in early '66. And it trickled through 7 owners before I got it.
So what condition was it in when you received it?
It was running, it was driving, it was painted green. The original engine had been blown up already, and another one had been put in. It had been all jacked up in the back and kind of taken the wrong direction. But I lowered it and painted it in a buddy of mine's driveway, and it's been this way ever since. And numerous track events. It's been around Riverside, Ontario, Holtville, Willow Springs countless times. Great car, drove it every day for 21 years.
You did. So it has some miles on it.
A lot of miles on it, yeah.
So you're not one of those that have the 3,200 miles or anything like that?
No, this car had 47,000 on it when I bought it. It's got about 167 on it now. It looks best when it's sliding sideways. This isn't a garage queen. It's a real car.
Do you use this day-to-day still, or now it's just a weekend car?
It gets such bad mileage, and the gasoline that it needs to run on is so expensive. The high test or the high octane fuel is in some places $7 a gallon. So it's just ridiculous. So it gets driven a couple hundred miles a year, and when it's driven really hard.
Now, do you have other classic vehicles in your garage?
I do, yes.
What are they?
A bunch of old Fords. I've got a bunch of Model A's. A couple of them are hot rods. A Model T, a 66 911 Porsche. So the whole bunch of stuff.
Was this actually your first purchase?
It's my third car.
Aww. Is it your favorite?
Today it is. It's a love.
That's a good answer.
It's a love-hate relationship. When it's broken, it's my worst car, and I've broken it many times.
But today, once it gets home safely,
oh, this is an awesome car. I love
you
this car.
love it, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Steve, and thanks for behaving yourself. With me now is Colin Hook, who has a 1965 Sunbeam Tiger. Now, if you're thinking, what's a Sunbeam Tiger doing at a Shelby Mustang show? You're going to tell us, but I know you can tell good stories, so make it the shorter version.
Okay. Well, originally when this company that made this car needed a better engine, a bigger engine, because their car wasn't going too fast. So they contacted Carroll Shelby and asked him if he would install the Ford engine, which is a Ford small block engine, which at that time was being used in the Ford Fairlane. And they asked him to fix it for them and do a good engineered job. And of course he did. And then they shipped the car on a boat back to England, showed it to the factory in England, and the factory decided, that's a good idea, we'll do it.
And now you have that engine in your vehicle.
Happened right now, yeah.
Now, you were telling me that this is more of a hobby for you. How long have you had your vehicle?
44 years, I think now. I bought it in 1978, and it was a pretty run-down car. A young guy had it, and he just kind of thrashed it to death, just racing around up at Big Bear in it. So after I bought it, I made it into a decent-looking and running car, and then after a while, I retired and I had nothing to do, so I decided, well, I'll take it apart again and make it into a decent car, which I did. So it's a nice car now. It's absolutely reliable. And it's great. I like it. I enjoy it.
It's not your main car. This is your weekend car, right?
This is my baby, yeah. Car shows, club events and things like that. But it'll go anywhere. We've driven it to Colorado. We've driven it to Oregon. So it's a totally reliable car. Thanks to the Ford engine, of course. This kind of car, because it hasn't got a computer to operate everything, you can take things apart, put them back together, change things, improve things, and it's just a toy to mess around with, you know, and it still runs good and everything, you know, so anything goes wrong, I don't have to take it anywhere, I just get my toolbox out and fix it, you know, and that's the glory of having an old car. It's
and a fun hobby at that.
It is, yeah, and in fact, there are quite a few parts available now because the companies have set up making reproduction parts, and you can just about get anything you want for the car. And of course, Ford parts are available, and so it's a good car to have as an old car. You know, it's not one of these cars that's old and you can't find anything that fits it anymore. You know, so I enjoy it. Good car.
Well, I want to know, okay, because there's two vehicles in this class. There's a black and a red Sunbeam Tiger. Who's going to win?
I don't know, but I'm assured of second place at least.
It's either going to be first or second, first or last, right?
I don't care which, it doesn't matter.
Well, Colin, thank you so much for sharing your tales of your Sunbeam Tiger.
Okay.
That's it from the Santa Monica Pier. I'm Kristyn Burtt. We'll see you next time.